Ethan Carter had never thought hosting an alien princess would be part of his life. When the Interstellar Council decided to include Earth among its member worlds, humans were still considered young, curious, and surprisingly unpredictable. Most species had advanced technology far beyond anything humans could imagine, and many assumed Earthlings were primitive, weak, and easily ignored. Ethan, a mid-level diplomat assigned to the neutral space station Orion's Reach, knew he had a lot to prove, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. The announcement that Princess Lyra of the Gliese system would stay with him for a week sent him into a whirlwind of preparation. Lyra was young for her species, but already renowned for her intelligence, grace, and curiosity. Unlike many of her people, she did not rely solely on advanced technology to solve problems. Instead, she studied, observed, and questioned everything. Humans, she had heard, were unusual even among the supposedly primitive species. Some called them reckless, others called them charmingly unpredictable. Ethan hoped she would think the latter, but he had little idea what she expected. When the shuttle arrived, Ethan waited in the docking bay, his nerves unusually tense. The door hissed open, and a tall figure stepped out. Lyra's skin shimmered softly, glowing with pale streaks of light that shifted with her movements. Her eyes were large and reflective, colored like liquid silver, and she moved with the grace of someone perfectly aware of her surroundings. Despite her alien appearance, she smiled warmly at Ethan, her voice musical yet clear. "Greetings, human," she said. "I hope your accommodations are suitable. They seem cramped for your species, yet you move within them with ease." A window looked out over the vast expanse of stars, the station's docking bays, and the distant planets spinning silently in the darkness. "This is your personal space?" she asked, stepping carefully as if unsure of how her glowing feet might interact with the floor. "Yes," Ethan said. "I try to keep it clean and simple. Comfortable for humans, and I hope it will be comfortable for you too." "That is a shower," he said cautiously. "We use it to clean ourselves, water flows, and we scrub or rinse to stay healthy." "You mean here in my room?" Yet he remembered his role as a host. Humans prided themselves on hospitality, and as strange as it seemed, he couldn't bring himself to refuse. Yes, of course," he said finally. "I can show you how it works, just be careful with the controls. Your species is considerate." "Your water," she murmured, dipping a hand under the flow, "is warm. It is pleasant." Water hitting her skin caused vibrant streaks of color to flare across the glass enclosure. Steam rose in shifting patterns, creating a tiny cloud inside the bathroom. Ethan stood outside, peeking cautiously, unsure whether he was witnessing a dangerous reaction or a harmless spectacle. "It is strange," Lyra said from inside, her voice echoing through the door. "The water interacts differently with me than with you. The cleansing agent produces sparks." "That word applies to your species more than I thought. Even in this simple task you invent, you learn, you adjust. You are clever." By the time Lyra emerged from the shower, the water no longer sparked, though the steam still danced in soft colors around the room. She shook off excess moisture, and the glow of her skin seemed warmer, as if she were pleased with the experience. "You humans have rituals that appear minor but hold profound skill," she said thoughtfully. "You control elements, adapt to challenges, and create comfort where none naturally exists. I am impressed. It is not arrogance, nor reckless curiosity. It is intelligent observation. Your species is underestimated by many, yet you possess traits few others do." She compared her advanced society with human improvisation, noting that while aliens often had perfect solutions, humans had something unpredictable and effective: the ability to adapt quickly, to find answers even in unexpected situations. Ethan realized that, in her eyes, humans were no longer just primitive beings. They were creatures of ingenuity, courage, and humor, capable of surprising even the most advanced species. When they finally prepared to sleep, Lyra's curiosity was far from sated. She paused at the small kitchen area, picking up a common human utensil. "This spoon," she asked, "why is it shaped so?" She examined it, turning it in her fingers, marveling at the simplicity of design combined with utility. "You invent tools that serve multiple purposes. Even in small things, there is efficiency, creativity, and adaptation," she said. "Your species is remarkable. Even in ways that seem ordinary, we tend to make them extraordinary." He realized that this encounter, so small, so personal, was already breaking expectations. Humans were underestimated across the galaxy, but here, in a tiny room on a neutral space station, they were beginning to reveal their strengths. Curiosity, courage, and adaptability were quietly shining, and even an alien princess could not ignore them. Ethan thought about what tomorrow might bring. Whatever challenges or misunderstandings awaited, humans had an advantage no alien technology could replicate: ingenuity, heart, and the ability to turn even the simplest acts, like sharing a shower, into lessons about resilience and intelligence. The stars outside twinkled endlessly, but inside, a small human apartment had become a stage for something far greater. Here, humanity's quiet brilliance was already at work, ready to astonish a galaxy that had once overlooked them. And somewhere in the glow of an alien princess learning to shower, a seed of respect was planted that would grow far beyond this tiny room. The next morning, Ethan awoke to the gentle hum of the space station. The artificial sun filtered through the small window of his apartment, casting long stripes of light across the room. He stretched, rubbing the sleep from his eyes, and prepared for what he knew would be another unusual day. Princess Lyra had made it clear she was curious about every aspect of human life, and Ethan suspected that this curiosity would not be satisfied with one lesson. When he stepped into the kitchen to make breakfast, Lyra was already there, examining a human appliance called a coffee maker. Her glowing fingers hovered over its buttons as she tilted her head in concentration. "This device," she asked, her voice soft and musical, "heats water and combines it with these beans to produce a stimulant. Humans drink it to wake up and to feel more alert. It tastes strong, but it helps focus. Some things work, some don't, but we always learn from them." "Why?" "Your species seeks beauty and function. Efficiency does not require coldness. That is clever. We like our food to be enjoyable, not just fuel. Makes life more pleasant." "These are stories?" she asked, printed text bound in covers. "Fascinating. Your species combines permanence with creativity." She wanted to see the small gadgets Ethan used to manage his apartment, from a thermostat to a simple robotic cleaner. Each device fascinated her, not because it was advanced, but because humans had found practical solutions using limited technology. "You make do with what you have, yet you find clever solutions," she said repeatedly. "I have seen species with far greater tools fail at small tasks because they lack creativity. You succeed because you think differently." Humans, however, were unpredictable, adaptable, and capable of improvisation. By mid-afternoon, Lyra requested something unexpected. "I wish to experience one of your social rituals," she said. "You humans interact in ways that are not strictly functional. I have observed gatherings in other species, but your approach is peculiar." "You mean like a meal with conversation, or some kind of casual meeting?" When they arrived, Lyra observed quietly, noting gestures, tones, laughter, and the ease with which humans spoke to each other. She asked questions constantly: why someone smiled at a joke, why they passed a plate rather than taking food directly, why small talk mattered. "These behaviors," she whispered to Ethan, "seem unnecessary, yet they strengthen bonds, create trust, and encourage cooperation. Your species invents patterns of connection that are not dictated by logic or survival, yet they are crucial for success." Humans often succeeded because of their social intelligence, their ability to read others, persuade, and cooperate spontaneously. It was messy, unpredictable, and yet profoundly effective. Later, Lyra wanted to explore the bathing routine from the previous day in more detail. She asked Ethan to demonstrate small hygiene habits: washing hands, brushing teeth, using a towel. Ethan guided her gently, careful not to overwhelm her with human customs that seemed mundane to him but bizarre to her. "You humans are ritualistic," she said, shaking water off her glowing skin after a demonstration. "Yet your rituals are not rigid. You adapt to circumstances, solve problems, and maintain health simultaneously. Ingenious." Every small action, every habit, every improvisation she observed became an insight into human resilience. She saw what aliens often ignored. Humans could thrive in unpredictable situations because of flexibility, creativity, and determination. The afternoon brought an unexpected challenge. One of the small robotic cleaners malfunctioned, spilling water across the floor. Lyra's glowing skin flickered nervously as she stepped carefully to avoid the puddle. Ethan grabbed a simple towel and began mopping. "You improvise," she said, watching him twist the towel and press it against the liquid. Instead of calling maintenance drones or programming a repair routine, you solve the problem immediately using tools at hand. Humans are efficient in ways aliens rarely are. You adapt in real time, think creatively, and survive where others fail. She tried bread, fruit, and even a human dessert, marveling at how simple ingredients could produce such varied tastes. You create variety with minimal resources, she observed. Aliens often have abundant technology or ingredients but fail to achieve the same richness. Humans thrive because you experiment, improvise, and enjoy the process. Lyra's fascination was not just about novelty, it was recognition. She was beginning to understand that humans were not weak or primitive. They were clever, resilient, and unpredictable in ways that advanced civilizations often overlooked. After dinner, they sat together looking out at the stars. Lyra's glow had dimmed to a gentle shimmer, and her expression was contemplative. "You humans," she said softly, "appear ordinary, yet you are extraordinary. I came to observe a primitive species, expecting to see flaws, yet I see ingenuity, courage, and joy. You survive not because of strength alone, but because of intelligence and adaptability. That is rare in the galaxy." This small, personal encounter had become something larger than he had anticipated. Even in his modest apartment, among ordinary routines, humans were proving their worth, not with weapons, shields, or advanced tech, but with creativity, problem-solving, and heart. Lyra tilted her head, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. "Tomorrow, I wish to see more. I wish to understand how humans handle challenges outside comfort. Your species is underestimated, yet you thrive in ways aliens cannot predict. I wish to learn from that." Humans had one advantage aliens often overlooked. They could think, adapt, and overcome using what they had, no matter how limited. As Lyra prepared for sleep, Ethan thought about the day. She had seen ordinary objects and routines, yet she recognized their significance. She had seen mistakes, improvisation, and small triumphs, and in each she had witnessed the quiet brilliance of humanity. In the silence of the apartment, Ethan realized that hosting an alien princess was not just about diplomacy. It was an opportunity to show the galaxy something it often ignored. Humans were underestimated, yes, but their strength lay in ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability. That strength, subtle and unassuming, could surprise even the most advanced species. Outside, stars glittered like scattered gems, but inside, the quiet apartment had become a classroom. Here, humanity was teaching an alien princess the lessons of resilience, creativity, and the unique brilliance of ordinary people. And she was watching, learning, and slowly coming to understand why humans, despite appearances, could never be ignored. The day had been long, full of curiosity, laughter, and discovery. But tomorrow promised more. Challenges awaited, and with them, opportunities for humans to shine in ways no alien could anticipate. And Ethan knew that when those moments came, humans would rise, not through technology, not through force, but through wit, heart, and the simple, unyielding ability to adapt. The next morning, Ethan awoke to a quiet tension that he could not immediately place. The space station hummed with its usual rhythm, but a subtle vibration ran through the floor, a hint of movement beyond the routine. He had grown accustomed to the minor shifts and adjustments that came with life aboard Orion's Reach, yet something about this morning felt different. Lyra was already awake, her glowing skin shimmering softly as she floated near the window. Unlike the previous days, her curiosity was tinged with alertness, as if she had sensed a shift in the station's atmosphere. "Human," she said, turning to him, "there is a change. I feel disturbances beyond the normal activity. Other species are unsettled." Reports of movement from the docking bays showed a rogue alien fleet approaching. They were unregistered, armed, and moving fast, clearly intending to make contact in a way that would not be friendly. "They're coming," Ethan said quietly, "and I don't think it's for greetings." "The attackers are far superior technologically. How do you intend to respond?" "We do what we must to survive." They had anticipated standard protocols and began exploiting weaknesses in the station's defenses. Ethan moved quickly, thinking in ways the others had not. He accessed maintenance tunnels and secondary systems that were rarely used, finding pathways to reroute power, create temporary shields, and isolate vulnerable areas. His mind worked fast, making connections between technology, human problem-solving, and improvisation. Lyra watched him closely. "You think differently. Humans do not rely on sheer power or advanced systems alone. You observe, adapt, and find solutions in the moment. This is impressive." He found a control panel that had been overlooked, a simple human-designed interface. Using basic logic, a combination of trial and error and a little luck, he rerouted power to the station's shields, giving them extra reinforcement just where the rogue ships were concentrating their attack. The first strike came moments later. Energy blasts slammed into the outer hull, shaking the station and sending alarms blaring. Many delegates panicked, their advanced species unsure of how to respond to such unpredictability. But Ethan remained calm, moving through the corridors, adjusting controls, and using simple tools in creative ways to stabilize sections of the station. Lyra followed him, fascinated. "Your species' small size is not weakness," she observed. "It allows mobility. You act quickly where larger beings would be slow. You combine speed, intelligence, and improvisation to survive. Humans are underestimated for a reason. The galaxy does not see your true strength." He used small maintenance drones, normally tasked with cleaning or repairs, to interfere with the attackers' ships. By programming them to create confusion, block sensors, and even redirect minor energy pulses, he caused enough disruption to prevent a full breach. Lyra floated beside him, glowing brighter as she watched. "You do not command armies, yet you protect more than you could hope to control. Your species, courage, and creativity are remarkable. I understand now why humans endure, even when the odds seem impossible." Using a combination of basic coding and timing, he locked down critical areas, isolating the rogue ships from council members and civilians. His solutions were not perfect, but they worked, and that was enough. The first wave of attackers was repelled, but Ethan knew the threat was not over. The rogues adapted quickly, finding new pathways into the station. He had to anticipate their moves, think ahead, and improvise faster than they could. It was a test of human ingenuity against superior technology. Lyra, observing the chaos, finally spoke with admiration. "Your species survives by thinking in ways no algorithm or protocol can anticipate. Aliens rely on order, predictability, and rules. Humans rely on creativity, observation, and adaptation. You are unpredictable, and that is your power." In one moment, a blast corridor threatened to cut off Lyra. Without hesitation, Ethan grabbed a small, portable shield generator, positioning it just in time to protect her from the strike. Lyra's glow intensified, a clear sign of relief and approval. "You saved me," she said softly. "Humans risk themselves without hesitation. You do not wait for permission, you act." "We survive. Sometimes that means taking risks others won't." Systems they believed were secure were bypassed, shields were reinforced unpredictably, and their movements were disrupted by tiny, clever interventions. Lyra turned to Ethan, her eyes reflecting admiration. "This is why humans endure. Your strength is not in weapons or advanced shields, it is in your mind. You are creative, resourceful, and courageous. These attackers thought they were superior, yet you counter them with what they could not foresee. That is extraordinary." Civilians were safe, council members were shaken but unharmed, and the station was stable. Lyra approached him, her glow softer now, more reflective than ever. "Human, I have learned more about your species in this single day than I have in centuries of observation. You were underestimated, and yet you protected many lives with nothing but ingenuity, courage, and quick thinking. That is a trait few in the galaxy possess. Your mind, your spirit, and your ability to adapt are your greatest weapons. I shall carry this lesson back to my people. Not through raw power, not through superior shields, but through creativity, courage, and adaptability, the human way." The princess floated beside him, watching as Ethan checked the systems once more, ensuring stability. "I am grateful you were here," she said softly. "Humans are remarkable in ways no one outside your species understands. You are clever, brave, and unpredictable. I underestimated your kind, but never again." "Tomorrow," she said, "I wish to see more. I wish to learn how humans plan, how you prepare for challenges you cannot predict. Your species' potential is limitless, and I intend to understand it. That's how we survive and thrive." Yet here they were, standing, unbroken, and ready for whatever came next. And Lyra, who had come expecting to observe a primitive species, now understood something profound. Humans were clever, resourceful, and capable of feats that others could not anticipate. Their greatest strength was not in what they had, but in how they used what they had, and that was something the galaxy would soon learn to respect. The stars outside twinkled with their cold, distant light, but inside the station a quiet human triumph had occurred. It was not celebrated with fanfare or grand weapons displays. It was subtle, personal, and brilliant, the way humans often succeeded. And it was only the beginning. Ethan looked at Lyra and said quietly, "You'll see more tomorrow. Humans are nothing if not persistent. We don't give up. We adapt, we improvise, and we find a way forward." I shall carry this lesson always. Repairs were underway, minor systems were being restored, and the hum of machinery filled the corridors. The rogue fleet had retreated, but the impact of their assault lingered in the minds of the council delegates. Most species were shaken, realizing that humans, whom they had long underestimated, had played a critical role in defending the station. Ethan moved carefully through the halls, checking the systems and ensuring stability. Lyra floated beside him, her glow calm yet observant. She had spent the previous night reviewing her observations, mentally cataloging everything she had learned about humans. Today, she wanted more. "Human," she said softly, her voice carrying a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "Yesterday you demonstrated courage and adaptability. You improvised when others froze, but I am curious about your planning. How do humans prepare for the unknown?" "The key is to be ready to change your approach when circumstances shift. Adaptation is part of the plan." Ethan accessed a terminal, showing her maps of the station, emergency plans, and small contingency systems that humans had devised long before the council arrived. "These are simple systems," Ethan explained, "but they allow us to react quickly. Humans create backups, redundancies, and small improvisations. When something goes wrong, we can often find a solution using what's available." Lyra wanted to observe human interaction, so Ethan gathered some volunteers, other humans stationed on Orion's reach. They moved through drills, simulations, and discussions, showing how humans coordinate without the need for complex alien protocols. "See," Ethan said as he demonstrated, "we communicate, adapt, and adjust. We improvise as a team. We notice details others might miss. That's how we succeed in difficult situations. You are underestimated because others fail to notice these traits until it is too late." Aliens often dismissed these behaviors as frivolous, but Lyra watched closely. "These rituals," she said softly, "appear unnecessary, yet they build trust, resilience, and morale. Humans rely on social bonds as much as skill or technology. That is extraordinary. That's part of why we succeed when situations seem impossible." The day's lessons had been exhausting, and he wanted to give her a space to relax. Lyra looked around, noticing small details she had missed before, the way the apartment was organized, simple objects used in creative ways, small personal touches that made the space human. "You make do with little, yet you create comfort and function," she observed. "Your species does not need perfection to thrive. You use what you have and make it remarkable. That is powerful. Now I see that your greatest advantage is your mind and your spirit. You do not wait for perfection. You create solutions, improvise, and endure. That is brilliance. These small, seemingly trivial behaviors," she said, "build cohesion, relieve stress, and sharpen observation. I had believed efficiency required strict rules. Humans show me that flexibility is strength. You adapt because you notice, learn, and adjust instantly. That is remarkable." The news of the human ingenuity displayed during the attack had spread, and delegates were eager to witness firsthand what had saved the station. Ethan walked in confidently, Lyra beside him, her glow subdued but proud. Alien delegates murmured, expressing surprise that humans had not only survived but protected others when advanced species faltered. "You see," Ethan said quietly to Lyra, "humans are underestimated, but we have a way of proving our worth when it matters most. They improvise when others rely on rigid systems. Their strength is not measured in weapons, shields, or speed. It is measured in mind, spirit, and creativity." Humans were not just surviving in the galaxy, they were demonstrating that cleverness and adaptability could overcome even superior technology. Lyra continued, "I observed a direct threat yesterday. The attackers were prepared, organized, and advanced, yet humans found solutions that no protocol could predict. They protected lives, preserved the station, and achieved success with limited resources. This is a strength we must recognize and respect." After the meeting, Lyra led Ethan to a quieter corridor away from the delegates. She looked at him with genuine warmth. "Human, I have observed many species across the stars. Some are strong, some are advanced, some are precise. But none combine adaptability, intelligence, and courage as your species does. You are underestimated because others fail to notice these traits until it is too late." That will change. I am fortunate to witness it firsthand. Ethan explained improvisation, observation, teamwork, and simple problem-solving that relied on ingenuity rather than advanced technology. You teach me more than I expected, she said softly. I came to observe humans. I did not know I would learn from them. You are clever, resilient, and courageous. That is why humans endure, and why the galaxy cannot ignore your kind. As they prepared to rest, Ethan thought about the future. Humans were underestimated, yes, but their ingenuity and adaptability had just changed perceptions on a galactic scale. Small acts of observation, improvisation, and courage had become lessons for even the most advanced species. Lyra glanced at him, her glowing form flickering gently. Tomorrow, she said, I wish to see how humans thrive outside comfort, how you respond to unpredictability. I already see brilliance in your species, but I want to see more. That's how we survive and thrive. And Princess Lyra, who had come to study a primitive species, now understood something profound. Humans were underestimated not because they were weak, but because their greatest strengths were subtle, unpredictable, and impossible to ignore once revealed. The stars outside twinkled endlessly, indifferent to the struggles of small species within the station. But inside, humans had proven something extraordinary. They could endure, adapt, and rise above challenges that even advanced civilizations struggled to overcome. And that realization, Lyra knew, would have consequences far beyond Orion's reach. Ethan sat by the window, looking out at the stars, and thought about how humans often succeeded in ways others could not predict. Improvisation, courage, intelligence, and a willingness to act when necessary. These were the qualities that set his species apart. And as Lyra rested nearby, glowing softly in admiration, he realized that humanity's story among the stars was just beginning, and it would be told not by power alone, but by heart, mind, and unyielding resilience. The station was calm, but the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. The rogue fleet had retreated, the immediate danger was over, and yet the council and its delegates had begun to whisper in quiet corridors. Something had changed in their perception of humans. What had once been considered a minor, primitive species was now recognized as unpredictable, clever, and capable of remarkable feats. Ethan moved through the halls, making small adjustments, checking minor systems, and ensuring the station remained secure. He had grown used to the rhythm of life aboard Orion's Reach, but today he felt an unusual sense of pride and purpose. Humanity had been underestimated for centuries, yet in just a few days, an alien princess and dozens of delegates had witnessed what humans could do when circumstances demanded creativity, courage, and intelligence. Lyra floated beside him, her glowing skin soft and steady. She had spent hours reviewing the events of the last day, analyzing how humans had acted in ways no other species could anticipate. She turned to Ethan, her silver eyes reflecting the artificial light of the station. "Human," she said, her voice calm but full of admiration, "I have observed many species across countless systems. Some are strong, some are fast, some are precise. But none exhibit the combination of intelligence, adaptability, and courage that humans do. You are underestimated because others cannot comprehend how subtle yet powerful your skills are. That is no longer the case. And that advantage is significant. I intend to make sure the Council understands it as well. Your species deserves recognition, respect, and a place among those considered capable of true ingenuity." Ethan and Lyra entered together, and murmurs spread through the crowd. Humans had survived and countered a fleet far more advanced than the station's defenses, using nothing more than quick thinking, improvisation, and courage. The story had traveled fast. Lyra spoke first, her voice carrying through the chamber with calm authority. "Esteemed delegates, I speak on behalf of my people and as an observer of a remarkable species. Humans, whom many have underestimated, have demonstrated ingenuity, courage, and adaptability beyond expectation. In the face of superior technology, they improvised solutions, protected lives, and preserved the station." Delegates who had once dismissed Earth as primitive now exchanged surprised glances. Ethan watched closely, noting the shift in perception. Humans had done what many advanced species could not. They had proved their worth in real time against impossible odds. Lyra continued, her eyes scanning the room. The humans' methods were simple yet brilliant. They used observation, quick thinking, teamwork, and creativity. They adapted when others froze, improvised when standard procedures failed, and demonstrated courage when hesitation would have been easier. This is a species that cannot be underestimated. A few approached later to ask questions, eager to understand the methods humans had employed. Ethan explained cautiously, mindful that the goal was not to boast, but to share what made humans unique. He described the improvised rerouting of power, the use of maintenance drones as tactical tools, the creative solutions for locking down sections of the station, and the teamwork that allowed humans to coordinate without relying on rigid protocols. Lyra translated each step, emphasizing the combination of intelligence and courage that had made them effective. After the meeting, Lyra took Ethan aside. "Human, the Council now sees what I have observed. Your species' strength lies not in overwhelming power, but in the ability to adapt, observe, and innovate. That is something no algorithm or advanced weapon can replace. You are extraordinary. That's how we've survived as a species for thousands of years." The tension of the day had lifted, replaced by a quiet sense of accomplishment. The station was secure, the delegates had seen humanity's strength firsthand, and Lyra's respect was unmistakable. "You have proven something remarkable," Lyra said, floating near the window, her glow reflecting the stars outside. "You were underestimated, yet you turned weakness into strength. Your species, creativity, and courage allowed you to succeed where others might have failed. Humans survive by thinking, adapting, and acting, not by relying only on what we don't have. Now I understand that your species' strength is consistent, small, clever, and effective in ways others overlook. Humans improvise, survive, and excel even in situations that appear ordinary or insignificant. That is your gift." She had seen their ability to improvise during crises, to cooperate without rigid protocols, and to act with courage when hesitation was the safer choice. Before leaving, she presented Ethan with a small token of her appreciation, a crystal pendant that glowed faintly with a soft, pulsating light. "Human," she said, placing it in his hands, "this is a symbol of respect. I have learned more than I expected during my time with you. Humans are clever, resilient, and brave. You are underestimated no longer. Carry this as a reminder that your species' potential is greater than many realize. The honor is mine. You have changed my perception of your species. I will tell others that humans are formidable, not in brute strength, but in mind, heart, and spirit. That is a rare combination in the galaxy." He realized that humans had accomplished something extraordinary, not through advanced technology or overwhelming power, but through ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. In the span of a few days, they had earned the respect of one of the galaxy's most influential princesses and demonstrated to multiple species that humanity could not be dismissed. After Lyra's departure, the station slowly returned to normal. Repairs were completed, delegates resumed their work, and the hum of machinery filled the corridors once more. Yet the perception of humans had shifted irrevocably. Across the stars, stories of their cleverness, resourcefulness, and courage would spread, changing how other species approached them. Ethan returned to his apartment, sitting by the window and looking out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown challenges, civilizations, and dangers. Yet humans had proven that they could survive, adapt, and thrive in ways that no one could predict. The simple acts of observation, improvisation, and teamwork, the hallmarks of human ingenuity, had shown the galaxy that Earthlings were not to be underestimated. Lyra's words echoed in his mind. Humans are clever, resilient, and capable of feats beyond expectation. That lesson, taught through small moments, clever solutions, and unwavering courage, would resonate far beyond Orion's reach. Ethan smiled quietly, thinking about the future. Humanity had only just begun its journey among the stars. There would be challenges, crises, and unforeseen threats. Yet he knew one thing for certain: humans would face them as they always had, together creatively and courageously. They would adapt, they would improvise, and they would endure. And as the stars glittered in the endless darkness, Ethan realized that humanity's story among the stars was only beginning. The galaxy had underestimated them for too long, but now the truth was clear. Humans were clever, resourceful, and capable of greatness that could not be measured by technology alone. He leaned back in his chair, the crystal pendant from Lyra resting in his hand, glowing faintly. It was a small token, yet it symbolized something much greater, a recognition that humans could shine in the galaxy not by brute force, but by intelligence, heart, and resilience. Ethan thought of the shower incident, of the improvised defenses, and of all the small human quirks that had revealed so much to an alien princess. It struck him as funny, absurd, and profoundly true. Sometimes, the galaxy underestimated humans precisely because they had a way of turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. And that, he realized, was humanity's greatest strength. No matter what challenges awaited in the vast expanse of stars, humans would endure, innovate, and thrive. They would continue to surprise the galaxy, not with what they had, but with what they could do with their minds, their courage, and their unyielding spirit. In the quiet of the apartment, looking out at the infinite sky, Ethan Carter understood a truth that would guide humans for generations. Underestimated though they were, humans were clever, resilient, and remarkable, and the galaxy had finally begun to notice. The stars outside twinkled endlessly, but inside, humanity's quiet triumph shone brightly. And for the first time, Ethan knew that humans were not just surviving. They were proving themselves as one of the most resourceful and extraordinary species in the universe.